The Trump presidency is one thing. Trumpism, his total takeover and ownership of the Republican Party, is quite another. Republican members of this U.S. Senate, with few exceptions, no matter what they say, no matter how much they seem to be bearing the weight of the world, no matter how troubled they are by his words, they are dependable votes for this president. In many cases, he outright owns these otherwise grown adults. The folks over at the Lincoln Project, the former Republican campaign veterans, are focused on beating Trump. Well, they're out with a devastating new TV ad demanding that viewers learn their names.
Someday soon, the time of Trump will pass. This circus of incompetence, corruption, and cruelty will end. When it does, the men and women in Trump's Republican Party will come to you, telling you they can repair the damage he's done. They'll beg you to forget their votes to exonerate Trump from his crimes, ask you to forgive their silence, their cowardice, and their betrayals as Trump wrecked this nation. Every time they had a choice between America and Trump, they chose Trump. Every time they were called to the service of this nation and their sacred oath, they chose Trump. Every time. Learn their names. Remember their actions. And never, ever trust them again.
The guy who claimed bone spurs to get out of serving our country when he was called, who claimed STDs were his, quote, own personal Vietnam, and cowered in a bunker when protesters shouted his name. Donald Trump is so frightened of facing war hero Tammy Duckworth as Joe Biden's running mate.
The helicopter pilot lost both legs when her National Guard unit was shot down over Baghdad.
He sicked Tucker Carlson on a suicide mission to take her down.
You're not supposed to criticize Tammy Duckworth in any way because she once served in the military. Most people just ignore her. But when Duckworth does speak in public, you're reminded what a deeply silly and unimpressive person she is. What a coward. Tammy Duckworth is also a fraud.
Tammy Duckworth, the combat pilot who took it to America's enemies and earned a Purple Heart. Tammy Duckworth, who doesn't take BS from anyone.
I always wanted to get the Purple Heart.
And I have a message for Cadet Bone Spurs. I will not be lectured by a 5 deferment draft dodger.
Tammy is tough as hell. You boys took on the wrong war hero.
A lot of really creepy statements, actions for sure, but statements that he's made in the past that make me very uncomfortable, certainly as a mother, but as a person who breathes air.
You're going up the escalator? I'm going to be dating her in 10 years. Can you believe it?
Really creepy statements.
If Ivanka weren't my daughter, perhaps I'd be dating her. You know?
Oh, it's so weird. Stop. You know what? You are sick.
Yeah. It makes me very uncomfortable that he would look at certain other Americans the way he apparently has in the past.
What does Tiffany have of Marlon's?
She's got Marlon's legs.
Creepy.
We don't know whether or not she's got this part yet, but time will tell.
What's the favorite thing you have in common with your father?
Either real estate or golf.
Donald, with your daughter?
Well, I was going to say sex, but I can't relate that.
He's definitely not a typical father.
Creepy.
Moved on her, and I failed. I'll admit it. Whoa. I did try and fuck her. She was married.
That's huge news, Sarah.
No, Nancy. Yeah. No, this was marriages. And I moved on her very heavily. In fact, I took her out furniture shopping. She wanted to get some furniture. I said, I'll show you where they have some nice furniture. I took her out furniture. I moved on her like a bitch, but I couldn't get there. And she was married. Then all of a sudden, I see her. She's now got the big phony tits and everything. She's totally changed her look. I better use some Tic Tacs just in case I start kissing her. You know, I'm automatically attracted to beautiful. I just start kissing them. It's like a magnet. You just kiss. I don't even wait. And when you're a star, they let you do it. You can do anything.
Whatever you want.
Grab him by the grab him by the pussy.
You want.
Grab him by the pussy.
You want.
Grab him by the pussy. I can do anything.
Pull the hell.
Hello, how are you?
The Cook Political Report updated their Electoral College outlook for the upcoming election today in a way that doesn't look good for the incumbent president. They say it's starting to look more like a Democratic tsunami than a blue wave. That's their wording, not ours. They add this, quote, President Trump, mired in some of the lowest job approval ratings of his presidency, is trailing Biden by significant margins in key battleground states like Pennsylvania, 8, Michigan, 9, Wisconsin, 9. He's even running behind Biden in his firewall states of Florida and North Carolina. So, back with us tonight, the occasionally raging but always entertaining Cajun James Carville, a veteran Democratic strategist who rose to national prominence with the Clinton presidential campaign years ago. These days is co-host of the 2020 Politics War Room podcast. So, James, a dual question. Do you believe what Charlie Cook says, and he's been around as long as you or I have, and should Democrats use some of that black bunting they bought after 2016, wrap their phones in it, and ignore everything said about the election and continue to work hard until the election?
First of all, let me share with your viewers exactly what the Cook report is. First of all, Charlie is a Shreveport guy. Charlie Cook is a Louisiana guy. Academic journals have deemed this the most accurate election prognosticators there are. They're very good at what they do. They really study before they make this decision. And Amy Walter, who wrote the piece, I know very well. She's very thorough. And if you just look at it across the whole breadth of polls, you can see this is evident. I've been saying this for a long, long time. And right now, this race is going to look like it's going to be a rout. And I don't know what Trump is doing. He's out there. The thing in South Dakota was the nuttiest thing I've ever seen. Talking about the Confederacy of dunces. That's about the only thing they got. I mean, the thing is just going very poorly for them. And Charlie and those people just pick up. They talk to posters. They talk to everybody. They have a reputation to sustain, and they don't make very many mistakes.
James, this group, Republican Voters Against Trump, is out with a really, really powerful ad that features the Ronald Reagan Shining City on a Hill speech while showing pictures of present day, some would say Donald Trump's America. I want to roll it. We'll listen to it. We'll talk about it on the other side.
Are you convinced that we have earned the respect of the world and our allies? Let us resolve tonight that young Americans will always find a city of hope in a country that is free. And let us resolve they will say of our day and of our generation that we did keep faith with our God, that we did act worthy of ourselves, that we did protect and pass on lovingly that shining city on a hill.
James, I presume you guys are really thankful for the assist. I also further presume you never could have dreamed that in your adult lifetime, the most effective ads against the Republican incumbent president would come from Republican political types like you.
Yeah, I would not, but I think these people are patriots. And I get so many of these ads on my cell phone. People just text them to me, left and right. But these are important because they remind independents and weak Republicans exactly what's at stake here. So this is an important part of the coalition, and that's an important part of why the Cook Political Report is talking about a tsunami. In 2018, we had a really good election, but we didn't do as well as we should have in Florida and Ohio. And what I'm seeing and what people are telling me is we're considerably ahead in Florida and ahead by a little bit, more than a little bit in Ohio. So that there were a couple of structures left standing after the 2018 wave. They will come down in 2020. It will come down.
Friedman of the New York Times says Biden should not debate the president unless he meets two conditions. First, Friedman says Biden should demand Trump release his tax returns from 2016 through 2018, for starters. Second, he says Biden should insist that a real-time fact-checking team approved by both candidates be hired by the Nonpartisan Commission on Presidential Debates, and that 10 minutes before the scheduled conclusion of the debate, this team report on any misleading statements, phony numbers, or outright lies either candidate had uttered. James Carville remains with us. James, no one is going to agree to that. Well, let's establish that. Right. I'll ask you this. Who needs debates more this season?
Look, Tom Friedman's a very nice guy. He writes very well about climate. I like to read his columns. I want to stay away from writing about politics. Of course, Biden wants to debate Trump. Trump is a doofus dope. All right? Biden debated Elizabeth Warren, Bernie Sanders, who's the most on-message politician I've seen in my life, Cory Booker, Amy Klobuchar. I saw him the night before South Carolina. He did very well. He should debate him without condition anywhere that he wants to. Joe Biden will trounce Donald Trump in any debate. And what he needs to do is be sure to get a picture side by side so he can see how fit and how trim Vice President Biden is and what a slob that Trump is. No, Tom Friedman is dead wrong on this. And I'm sure that the Biden people are. They'll have him very well briefed. They'll have the debates. I don't think Trump will show up. I don't think Trump will get anywhere around a debate with Joe Biden. Joe Biden has debated some of the most articulate, bright, message-disciplined people I've ever seen in my life. So I'm sorry. I like you, Tom. You're a nice guy. That is a waste of ink.
Unambiguous, James. Let me ask you about second quarter fundraising. We're looking at some of the challengers of some of the truly vulnerable Republicans. And it's been a real open question. How, as I asked somebody last night, how is Susan Collins going to run for re-election on Confederate statues and sports teams named Redskins and Indians? But some of these numbers that some of these challengers have raised for second quarter or Q2 in the business are off the charts. Do you believe the Senate is really within reach?
Well, first of all, to use a pun here for Senator Collins, it's a lost cause. Get over it. The Confederacy is gone. Of course, you're seeing these numbers, and you can see these kind of numbers everywhere. First of all, the question is not, is the Senate gone? The Senate is gone. The Democrats will control the Senate. The question that we're looking at, do we have 54 Democratic senators or do we have 58? And in order to have 58, if Trump stays in the race, which I still think is somewhat doubtful, then you got to have these debates because that'll get you there. And what I'm seeing now, Brian, is I look at 538 in Real Kill Politics, he's clocking in at 41%. That's it. And this is where this is going. I've been saying this for a long time. And we just got to keep the pressure on. These Trumpers are doing a great job. The Biden campaign's doing a great job. We just got to keep pushing forward here and keep our eye on the ball. But no, he should debate. He absolutely should debate.
James Carville, with thanks for whatever you did to stop the dog barking. We appreciate it. Always appreciate a chance to talk to you. Thank you very much for joining us. Thanks for having us in again.